Hello and welcome to part 1 of our Dominion 6 series as Nidavangr. So last episode we set up our game and now we're ready to play a couple of turns of expansion, so let's have a little lay of the land. So first off, I've done a little bit of renaming for our starting commanders. We have Oggerburn, the Nidhurst for our commander of our armies, and Joe B. Plenty as our scout. If you'd like to see yourself in the game as one of our leaders, leave a comment letting me know what kind of commander you want to be and we'll get you in the game. So going over our starting position, we have Nidavangr with some avenues for expansion. We can see we've got a couple of connections here. We've got some marsh in the Golan Fens and some forest in Hexwood to the west. We've got plains in New Spring to the south with a bunch more connections there. And we also seem to have two farmlands close together in the Wolfen Plain and Pastena to the east, as well as some more plains as well as far as we can see. We can't quite tell what exactly is in there except the Golan Fens, because our dominion is actually spread there, so we can see, according to its province stats, that it's actually a pretty decent swamp. It's got pretty decent income, it's got pretty decent population, decent resources. You know, we could probably use that for Nidavangr if we wanted to. As it stands, because it's currently turn 1, we don't actually know what independent armies are in each of the province. We'll get those reports next turn, even though we do have Dominion Scry in the Golan Fens, which I think should give us perfect vision over armies, but we'll see what happens next turn. Turn 1 can be a little bit funny in game creation like that. Also, because we have magic skills, unlike Middle Age On, we will start with a little bit of pre-game research. So looking through, we've got construction and thaumaturgy at level 1, that's very nice, and we have alteration level 1.5, which is really good for us actually. These are pretty good randoms. We actually want to get alteration probably level 4 before too long, just so we can really start buffing up our troops, so I'm quite happy with this. Looking at our gem income, we have 1 air gem, we've got 1 pearl and 3 death gem income, and that's thanks to Nidakettil, which is the site in our capital. This is also where we can recruit our Crow Clan Seathberenders, our Nidhir and our Nidbathed. Looking at our initial starting troops as well, we've got 20 of these Wolf Clan Reavers. They have a sword and a javelin and a shield. They're pretty decent for troops, and they have a pretty good defense skill with their shield at 14. And we also have some Crow Clan archers with short bows. Not really the best when it comes to Middle Age, but they should be able to at least deal with some unarmored targets, and the 11 base precision is quite nice as well. Both these units are also stealthy with snow move, so that can come in handy later on. Okay, so that's a little bit of a lay of the land. Let's start with our research. So I think we're going to get alteration level 2 just to begin with, so we can get some nice buffs, and it only costs 50 RP. We'll get it pretty quickly. As for our recruitment in Nidavangr, we're going to get as many of these Nid-Ilvas as we can. They actually dual-wield swords, and they have ambidextrous and formation fighter, so you can get a lot of attacks density out of these guys here, or should I say these girls here. Their protection leaves a little bit to be desired, and they don't have a shield, so arrows will chew them up, but they do have a defense skill of 14, so that's actually really quite good, and pretty high morale at 15 as well. These hopefully will be able to blender up some independent normal troops, just so we can try and get them to start routing due to morale losses. Other than that, I think we'll also get a Bear Clan Seathberender. He's one of our Bear Clan mages. He has paths in nature and earth for buffing himself with our alteration level, should he get involved in fights, and he can do a little bit of research in the meantime. Plus he can actually turn into a giant bear, so he could be quite useful for us as an early game thug. So what we'll do is we'll quickly clear up this recruitment. We'll maybe just get 1 or 2 Crow Clan archers. We'll get 1 Crow Clan archer and we'll start recruiting on our next Nidvila. As far as our Sacred goes, the Nidbathed, we're not actually going to be recruiting them this turn, purely because our Dominion is only 1 in Nidavangr, so when it comes to their Soul Scars, they'll only be getting 1 Soul Scar each, which isn't really the best value for our Sacreds. To counteract this, I think what we'll do is we'll have Joe B. Plenty become our prophet. So we'll have our scout here. He's going to sit in our capital and start raising up our Dominion just until we get to at least Dominion 5, if not Dominion 7, so we can start getting more of our Sacreds with their Soul Scars. Other than that, I think we're good to go for our first turn. We've done pretty much all of our recruitment, we've done our research, done our actions. Oggerburn could patrol here, but I don't really see the point. There's nothing really going on, but I guess we'll get him to do that just in case there is a random event. And with that, let's end the turn and see what happens. And there you go, speak of the devil, unexpected event is heard in Nidavangr, but it's a really nice one. Growth +2, luck +2. Oh, what a perfect start to the campaign. Other than that, we've also got some proclamations from the other nations. So we have 5 AI in this game, so we know there's at least 5 other nations other than us. We currently know 3 of them, so there's a proclamation from Asphodel, who has made his Minotaur Lord his prophet. I can't really tell too much from that. It doesn't really look like he has much death as far as I can see. That looks more like astral and water, but we'll have to see about that. Proclamation from Eru, who has a champion as their prophet. This looks like a lot of nature and glamour, if I had to guess. And then we also have Proclamation from Naba, so the Hidden One, Master Deception, Malice, and Mischief. So this could be, again, glamour, potentially air, maybe a little bit of death. We'll have to see what happens a little bit further on. With the addition of glamour, the titles that you get for Pretender creation are slightly different, so I will admit I'm a little bit rusty. But I can usually, you know, fake my way through it, as I do with all things. So with that, we've done our recruitment. So we're going to grab our dual-wielding sword ladies. We're going to put them in with our reavers, and we've also got our little archer here, so we'll grab him as well. We're going to tell our archers to fire on the closest, and with these guys here, we're actually going to tell them to hold and fire on the closest as well. That should mean they actually stay still until they throw their javelins, and once they've thrown their javelins, they should all march forward together. The idea with keeping these girls in with these guys with shields is hopefully they'll be able to block a few arrows with the shields if they're in the same square. If not, that's going to be a bit of a shame. These girls can't really tank the arrows very well. They've got decent HP, but the protection doesn't really allow it. As far as our orders for our commander, we'll get Ogdeburn to stay behind his troops as well. We'll just get him to stay behind the archers. That should be fine. For Joe B. Plenty, we're going to tell him to preach so we can start getting our Dominion up. We've already got 2 candles here just through our Dominion spread, now that we have our Prophet and also our Temple check, so that's quite nice. As for Gyalp, so the interesting thing with most of the mages in Nidavangr is they can actually change their shape, and they will change into different things. Bear Clan will turn into giant bears, Wolf Clan will turn into wolves, and the Crow Clan will turn into crows. Interestingly enough, they don't lose any of their magical passive when they do this. He's still Earth 1, Nature 2. But now he has 44 hit points, which is quite a lot, and decent strength for his 2 attacks, so all of a sudden our mages become quite better. And he can still lead troops in this, but he's not the best leader. He's only got leadership 10. So we don't really want him to be leading troops, but we can give him a couple of sacreds once we get them out as well. As far as him goes, we'll keep him as a bear, and we'll get him to research. He can start researching for us. He does a decent amount of research. He does 12 per turn. So we'll get started on our alteration. We'll kind of have a little look back at this when we start to research some more. Looking around us, so we have a couple of avenues that we could potentially start to move forward on. So our Dominion has moved into the Wolfen Plains. So we can see here as well, we have our scrying ability from our Dominion. So now we can actually see exactly what is up with the enemy armies. And we know this is accurate. We don't actually need to send scouts out. Our Dominion will do that for us. We still want to send scouts out so we can see a little bit more of the map, but this will let us know kind of what we're walking into with our armies. So this looks about 40 enemy units, militias, light infantry, and heavy infantries. That actually seems like it would be a pretty easy province to take. It's also a farmland with 97 income, which is about the same as the Golden Fens. So I might be tempted to actually go more towards the Golden Fens. We kind of want these resources so we can start recruiting more troops in Nidavangr. Also, these guys here appear to be Atlantean militias and shamblers, neither of which have any armor, and so our archers are going to be fantastic against them. So yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to tell Ogdeburn to move to the Golden Fens. We've got our prophet preaching, we've got our researcher researching, and then we want to have a little think about what we want to do next as terms of recruitment. So I'm thinking we want more of our Nidvias, if we can, because we're going to want them. We'll probably move to the Golden Fens, we'll see what's up here, but we'll probably actually move over to the Hexwoods. We don't know what's in there, other than there could be some Amazons and Jade Maidens. Around about 40. We're not quite sure how many there are, but that will mean that because it's a forest, it'll probably have the resources we need to increase the amount of recruitment we can get in Nidavangr. Just because we have that 2 sloth, it does reduce the amount of resources that we have, so we can't quite use all of our recruitment points. But when we take the Golden Fens as well, because that has a decent number of resources and an okay population, we'll also be able to recruit out of that, which should be handy. As far as a leader goes, we could start spending more of our gold for more of our mages. I think I might actually spend a little bit of gold and get a ChazzyBurger apprentice. These guys aren't the best. They only give 6 research ability, but they do have quite a wide variety of paths. I just kind of want to see what I can get. If I can get an astral level 1, I'll be laughing, because I'll be able to send him out with our Nidbay, and I'll be able to give them Twist Fate, so they'll ignore the first hit they take. Just makes them even tankier, potentially. But, you know, if we get Death or we get Nature, you know, that's not that useful. At least Earth we can potentially do something with, but worst comes to worst, you can always site search, or you can go around and make temples or labs for us. So with that, we've actually used all of our actions so far. We've done our recruitment. Let's have a quick look at our research. So our alterations there. That's fine. We'll have a little quick look at our orders to make sure. Yeah, so we're firing on the closest and we're going to hold and fire. These javelins should completely tear through these guys in the golden fens. Same with our archers. I don't think we'll be worrying too much about that. And other than that, we're just going to create a couple more Nidvila, and that should be absolutely fine. Maybe and potentially instead of a ChazzyBurger apprentice, we might want to recruit some more guys to lead armies. Yeah, let's recruit a Nid Jarl, and we'll get another scout just so we can start scouting around. We'll reduce the number of troops we can use to replenish our expansion force, but I don't see us taking that many losses, and it means that we'll be able to immediately send these guys into the Hexwoods in order to back up our troops. Okay, and with that, I think we're good to go. We'll maybe just check and see if there's anything interesting we can make when it comes to forging, because we did start with construction level 1. But as it stands, we don't have any earth gems, we don't have any nature gems, so can't really make anything with him there. Bit of a shame, but potentially make something more useful in a bit. Other than that, I think we're good to go for this turn. We'll just sort of kind of see what happens and move on to the next one. Alrighty, so nothing else happened other than just the battle in Golden Fens for us to look at. So we can see here we have all of our troops. We have these guys here, so they have a bunch of shamblers who are... They have quite a lot of hit points, but absolutely no protection at all. And because they're bigger, it means as well they're more likely to be hit by arrows. These Atlantean militia, again, absolutely no protection. Our archers should be able to absolutely chew through them. Here they go. And in come our javelins. Excellent. Oh, it looks like a little bit of friendly fire happened there, but you can see here our ladies with their swords are absolutely chewing through these Atlanteans. We lost another one there. A little bit of friendly fire going on. That's a shame. Look at that. They're absolutely tearing through them, and then we'll have our reavers here as well. That should hopefully break their morale before too long. Looks like a couple of them are already fleeing. Yeah, there we go. The independent armies were routed. Fantastic. Pretty good, successful expansion to begin with. We did lose 2 of our Nidvilas, unfortunately. That's a little bit of a shame, but I mean, they killed 12 people. We didn't take that many losses. Most of our expansion force is still intact. I think we can take that as a win, and we can have a little look and see what's happening elsewhere. Alright, so our Dominion has spread a little bit. We're up to Dominion 3. Still not quite enough that I want to be recruiting Nid-bathed, but it's getting closer. Over here in the Golden Fens, so we can see, look at that. Magical site, 1 water and 1 earth gem per turn and 50 resources. What a fantastic site. Oh, that's fantastic. I am very, very pleased with that. This will also mean that we can recruit Atlantean militia here, so this actually lets us go into water a little bit if we'd like to. However, that's a thrown province there. We're not going to be able to take that with just Atlanteans. They will get absolutely demolished by those Tritons unless we bring them in quite an overwhelming force. But you can also see here in the recruitment screen that it's actually a little bit busier than that, because as Nidavangr we get a lot of foreign recruitment. So that means we can actually recruit a bunch of people here. So we're going to recruit a Bear Clan Cub Mother and a bunch of Cub Warriors. You can see that we can get a bunch of these Cub Warriors. They're not very good. They have decent morale, but they are undisciplined. They are skirmisher though, so they don't take the morale penalty for fighting in skirmish formation. And they do also have a pretty decent axe, but their attack skill and defense skill aren't great. Their main job here is just to be chaff, just weight of numbers. We don't really care if these guys die. They're here to absorb lance hits, kind of on the cheap. I mean, they cost 9 gold each, but barely any resources and 2 recruitment points. We can get these from every single province and we'll be able to absolutely mass them. As far as Ogdeburn goes, we're going to get him to go into the Hexwood, so we can see here that there are about 32 enemy units, Amazons and Jade Maidens. The Jade Maidens are going to be a little bit scary. They're basically Amazons on top of giant lizards. They're very fast, but as far as I remember, they're not the most decent in terms of protection, so we should hopefully be fine. We see a little bit more of the map. We're going to send our scout down over to Lagrea. And we do also have more Dominion over in New Spring, so we can see here there's about 62 light infantry, militia, heavy infantry. Okay, so yeah, we'll move our army down into the Hexwoods, then we'll move to New Spring, then we'll probably either move into the Wolfen Plain just so we can grab a little bit more reinforcements from Nidavangr, and then probably move to Pastena and move in somewhere else. As for our troops currently sitting here, we'll get Fafnir. He's actually a better leader than our other guy, so we'll get him to grab these ladies here. We'll get him to hold and attack closest, and we'll put them out to the side. As for him, we'll get him to stay behind his troops. He'll also head to the Hexwoods. He can then take this army off Ogdeburn, and then Ogdeburn can go back to Nidavangr for more reinforcements. As for reinforcements in Nidavangr, let's get ourselves a Wolf Clan, just so we have some more mages for our research, and look how many more of our Nidvila we can get. That's quite a lot of scary blenders coming out all at once. And with that, I believe that is all of our recruitment. Let's double check our research. So we're going to get Alteration 2 in a couple of turns, especially as we get some more mages out, and that will be quite helpful for us. After that, I'm tempted to get at least 1 or 2 levels in enchantment. We want to get personal regeneration. That will really help out our bear clan. And not only that, if we can get regeneration at level 3, we can give that to our Nidbathe so they become even more regening. They'll have their enchanted blood, and they'll have 10% regeneration, so they'll be getting something like 1.5 HP per round, maybe even 2 sometimes, which will really give us a big, big help. Other than that, I think we're okay to leave Alteration level 2 here for just now. We have our mage researching, we have our guys all moving about. Once we get our Dominion up to level 5, we'll start recruiting some of our Nidbathe, and they can join in with our expansion force. We'll probably put them on the Great Bear here, Glap, and he'll be able to lead a small Nidbathe force around to help our expansion. Okay, and then other than that, yet just double checking our recruitment. We're fine there. We're obviously recruiting a bunch of guys here in Golden Fens. I didn't actually have a look up here, but we can only cross a bridge over into about 80 barbarians. If we have enough of these ladies here, the blenders, I'm going to say that instead of Nidvalia, because that's going to be really hard to say, at least with my accent. If we have a bunch of blenders together, they should absolutely tear through these barbarians. They will take some losses, but they have decent enough defense skill at 14 that I think they should hopefully be able to defend themselves at least once against the barbarians, and they should just completely cut them down. And even if they go berserk, there's enough attacks going their way that with their reduced defense skill, we should kill them before they do too much damage. I think we're good to go. I think we've got a decent treasury, we've got decent income. That extra growth that we've gotten in our main province is a big, big help. We can see we're getting massive amount of growth there. If we look at our population, we can see that our current population growth is now 0.5%, and that'll really help our income coming later into the game. We do have growth 1 our dominion, so that's quite nice. So the more we can get that on these surrounding provinces, the better. But yes, I think we're good to go. So with that, let's end this turn again. And we'll probably do, yeah, we'll probably see the battle results of this turn. We'll maybe do one more turn. I think that'll be a good amount of expansion for the first episode. All right, let's do it. All right, so there was a proclamation from Atlantis. So we know that there's an Atlantis in the game. So that is a coral queen. That's an earth god. He has a bunch of earth. Yeah, it looks like a lot of earth, maybe a little bit of astral as well. And there was a battle in the Hexwood, so let's have a little look. This is going to be a little bit of a risky battle, just purely because of these Jade Maidens. So you can see here they've got, yeah, they don't have that great protection, at least on the ladies themselves, and the Lizards aren't very good as well on 8 protection, but they've got decent attack and defense skill. 18 defense skill is amazing. On a mounted unit, that's like Black Knights kind of level. So these are going to be quite nasty. They've also got a light lance, but I'm hoping with our archer fire and eventually our javelins, we should be able to chew through them fairly quickly. Here come the javelins. Our girls are taking a couple of lances, but they should start coming out with their swords. We've got some backup coming in as well. Looks like they got a couple of insects or sprites to come help them too. But we should be alright. Come on, girls. Don't take that friendly fire, please. Yeah, there we go. They're starting to chop them down. We're going to take a little bit of losses here, which isn't the best, but it could be worth overall. We're going to take a little bit more losses. We're not as well protected as we were on Middle Age Ulm. So we are going to take some expansion losses, but with that we've managed to rout them. But there are a couple of bugs and looks like some trees as well coming from their mage, but with that the independent armies are routed. Fantastic. Yeah, as you can see, we did lose 16 of our expansion forces, and this is a pretty big force as well. We are going to take some losses, but it's okay because we can recruit anywhere. Okay, and with that, we're start turn 4, so we can see here our Dominion's actually up to 5. Fantastic, so we can start recruiting some of our Nidbathe now. If we get 6 or 7 of these a turn, that'll be really good. These guys are pretty strong. There'll be a massive increase to our ability to fight. We are going to get 1 apprentice now, just so we can send them out so you can maybe start building a temple or a lab somewhere. We've got to be a little bit canny in terms of where we want to build our labs and our temples. We're going to potentially be cutting ourselves off from recruitment if we build our forts too close together. So let's say, for example, in the Hexwood, I wanted to build a lab and a temple here because I wanted to start recruiting some of our mages here because we can get our apprentices, we can get our wolf clan, we can get our bear clan outside of our fortresses, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, with our crow clan, they are capital only, but they are very good mages. So we're going to make very good use of these guys later game. Astral, death, air, all fantastic paths to have. But as far as I was saying, yeah, so our Hexwoods, if we had a temple and a lab here, if we were to build a fortification, say, in Ulman, if it's a good enough fortification, because this one here has administration of 45, we build another one over here which also potentially has an administration of 45, then that's us at 90 administration. All of a sudden we're running really low in resources, and there's not many resources that are being produced here. If we get to the point where we're not producing any resources, then we'll completely cut off our ability to recruit mages. So we got to be a little bit careful of that. But we're just going to kind of see how we go. As far as our troops in the Hexwoods go, what we'll do is we'll grab all these archers and all of these javelin men, and we're actually going to get them all to go on Fafnir here. So Fafnir is going to take these troops here, and he's going to send them down into New Spring, where we know there's about 62 enemies. As far as Gyalp goes, he is going to... he can't take any Nidbathe at the moment, and there's a bunch of people there. We'll get Ogdeburn to move back to Nidavangr and pick those up. That is a lot of people there. We might actually get Fafnir to wait for a turn. He can always patrol, get down some of that unrest. We'll also bump up the province defense there. Irpa has a bunch of these cub warriors, which I talked about before, and we'll use them to just kind of as a distraction almost. We'll get them to hold an attack. So the interesting thing about these Bear Clan cub mothers is with their cub mother ability, they can actually give orders to cub warriors, which turns them from just being undisciplined, not great units to actually being able to be scripted, which can, because they're so cheap, you can then just say, right, well, I just want you to be here as lance catchers, and I don't have to worry about you being undisciplined. I can actually give you orders, which is pretty fantastic. So we'll get her to move to the Hexwoods. We'll get Fafnir to just wait here for a turn, and we'll pick up those extra troops from Nidavangr, and then we'll move them all down to New Spring, and then that way we'll have a bunch more troops to take that province there. They'll be able to take that province, probably go to Wolfen Plain, and then that'll be their last of their reinforcements. We'll kind of see how they do before they attrition out. As far as this goes, we'll actually get some more cub warriors here. We've got quite a fair resources, and we can recruit our own Jade Maidens, which could potentially be another reason to get a temple here, because that's another sacred, cavalry sacred as well, and our bless is pretty nice. The only thing with these Jade Lizards yet, so they're cold-blooded, and we have cold 3 in our dominion, which isn't the best. So it's kind of going to be a little bit of a trade-off there, unfortunately. Part of me is thinking about getting a Nidhurst. We could potentially get that in Golden Fens over here. Pretty cheap. We'll get him next turn, and he could just be used to just grab some more troops. We don't have to worry about that. And then obviously we've got our recruitment here. We'll get a bunch more of our dual-wieldy sword ladies. And I think that's pretty good. Ragnar we could send out do some site searching as well, but I do kind of want to get Alteration. Now, we're not going to get Alteration 2 before next turn, which is a shame. So in that case, yeah, let's send him out to the Golden Fens. We can start him doing a little bit of site searching, just so we can try and get some more water gems and some more nature gems. He's only nature 1, but I want Glap back here, so he can lead our Nidbathed going out into the fight. Yeah, what we'll do is we will hold fire on our research. We'll have a little decision next turn about what we want to do. We're probably not going to get Alteration 2 for a while. That should be absolutely fine. And other than that, we're recruiting everything. We've done all of our actions. There's nobody left. Let's end the turn. Alright, so an unexpected event has occurred in the Hexwoods. We did fire a bunch of nature gems. That's quite nice. And we've killed a bunch of brigands. That should bring the unrest down. Perfect, so our income is pretty good everywhere. As it stands, I think we've done okay as far as our expansion goes so far. It's turn 5. We've only taken 2 provinces. But we haven't had any particularly unsuccessful expansions so far. We did lose a bit of troops in the Hexwoods, but that is absolutely fine. And you know what? Because it's currently turn 5, we might as well do one more turn this video just so we can round it out. That means we will have had quite a few turns of expansion. We'll get through our first year quite quickly in this series, because I know some people want to learn about expansion, more people want to actually see what the nation does later on into the game, and we can go through this pretty quickly, so we might as well do that. As far as Hakon goes, so he's a water 1. That's okay, I guess. He will be useful later on for some Frozen Heart spam if we want. We also have Ogbaran, so Ogbaran is here. He can pick up a bunch of these dual-wieldy ladies. So we have 2 of them there. We're not putting them on our bear, because our bear cannot lead that much. And also he has a morale penalty. We'll do the same with the Nidbathed, and we'll actually set them up over here next to our bear. We'll get them to hold an attack closest. And for our bear, we're going to get him to cast Blessing a couple of times, just making sure that he can get everybody with that. Then he's going to cast Personal Bark Skin on himself. That'll just improve his protection just a little bit, up to natural protection 10, and then he can go out there. There's nothing else he can really cast. I guess he could cast Eagle Eyes for himself, but there's nothing else I really want him to do. Poison Shards potentially, but yeah, I think we're okay for in terms of spells. So we'll just get him to cast a bunch of Blessing, Personal Barkskin, then he'll charge in with his Nid-Bathed. Well, not technically his Nid-Bathed, they're actually Ogbaran's, but it means this way they won't take the morale penalty from being on a Leadership 10 guy. So we'll send them both down there, and they can start attacking. As far as our research goes, we will not get Alteration 2 next month. That's absolutely fine. We're going to get another Bear Clan. We're going to get a bunch more Nid-Bathed, as many as we can. You can start to see these guys here. 45 gold each is pretty expensive, but they are worth the cost. They are very good Sacreds. We'll grab the rest of these Cub Warriors here with Urpa. Just going to stay behind our troops. We might actually get these guys up over here. So we're going to get a bunch of people to hold and attack the closest. These guys are going to fire on the closest. These guys are staying behind their troops. Fantastic. We'll get them over to New Spring. Over here we have another commander. We'll send him over to Nidavangr to potentially pick up more of those troops there so he can take them over to the Wolfen Plain. And that'll be quite handy. We'll get Ragnar to search there. Yeah, overall I think that's quite good. As for our scout, over here we found a throne. That's great. And we're pretty much done for our recruitment. There's not that much more we can get. We won't bother with a Cub Warrior here. We do have a couple of Cub Warriors, so we will put them onto Gylf, just so you can use them. And then the Hexwoods, do we want to do anything here? There's quite a few resources here. We could get a couple more archers, just so we have some additional troops. We can get somebody else to pick them up. We have enough commanders now. And yeah, so we've done our research. Alteration 2 is coming, not next turn, but the next again. That'll be good for Personal Stoneskin, and we don't really have to worry about that. Yeah, I think we're all good to go. We're chewing through our income quite a lot, so hopefully we can take a few more provinces a little bit quicker. As far as the Dominion goes as well, we've spread to Simri. So Simri does have heavy cavalry, so we've got to be a little bit careful about that. Yes, going to have to be very careful about it. Heavy cavalry is always the bane of my existence. Even our Great Bear with some extra protection will die to heavy cavalry, so we've got to be very, very careful. Anyway, with that, I think we're good to go. We'll just end the turn here. So we found 2 magical sites, the Farm of Plenty and the Glen of Verdant Greenery. That's pretty good. And there was a battle in New Spring. Let's see how we do. So this is a fairly sizable expansion force, probably bigger than what we need to do to take this province. You can see there's quite a few people here. It's absolutely fine. We're getting our Bless out on our Nid-Bathed, and obviously the Bless as well will affect our Great Bear too, so he's become pretty scary in of himself. With the Blur, they should all be able to chew through things fairly easily. He'll also get the Righteous Wrath. There you go, he's casting Personal Barkskin. The lines clash. Our Blenders should absolutely chew through these terrible militia troops. They don't have the attack skill or the defense skill to really do anything against them. They should even get through the heavy infantry with enough harassment. Yeah, fantastic. Here come our Nid-Bathed, as well as some Cub Warriors, just hopefully tank up a few hits for them. And we've absolutely decimated their commanders. We're routing the army. Fantastic. Even our Bear's gotten a kill there as well. You can see that he has a little bit of a blood surge. He has taken a chest wound. That's a bit of a shame, but that's going to happen now and again. Everybody should be regenning up. We shouldn't be taking that many losses. Fantastic. What did we lose? We lost a Cub Warrior, 2 Nidvalias, and 2 Reavers. You know what? I can take that. And we also seem to have found an Ivy Crown. Interesting. So who's got that? Fafner's got that. So that means that he can get more Vine Men if he wants to. Yeah, so he gets the Ivy Lord here. It unfortunately doesn't give any protection at all to his head. So yeah, not the best magical item. Potentially we'll give that to Ogbaran, and he will be able to drop off his troops with Fafner and spread them out. But anyway, let's have a little look over here. So Farm of Plenty, extra population growth, fantastic. I kind of wish that wasn't in a swamp, but you know, can't get everything. Glen of Verdant Greenery. So now we've got some nature gems coming in. Fantastic. I think this has been pretty good as a first couple of turns. Obviously a much slower expansion than if we had, say, an Awake Pretender, but it's still going reasonably quick. We're doing okay. We're securing our cap circle. We're just being a little bit cautious, just purely because we don't have as many troops as we wanted to, but now we have our Dominion up to Strength 7. Inside our province, we can really start pumping out these Nid-Bathed, and they'll be able to help our expansion by quite a lot. We'll see that in the future. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this first part of our new series of Nidavangr. Hopefully this has helped you a little bit when it comes to expansion. I know I haven't really gone into depth about the units in this nation. We'll probably do that either in another episode, or if I do a nation overview of this at the end, I'll just kind of give my brief thoughts about it as we go. Again, thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, take care.